When it comes to Nintendo Directs, there is one rule every fan has to remember. Nintendo does what Nintendo wants. And I think this Direct perfectly encapsulates that. A lot of people, myself included, figured that this Direct would be pretty mid, for lack of a better way of describing it. Just a very mild and chill Direct. A sort of Direct that, you know, marks the end of the Nintendo Switch era. However, we definitely got something that was far from that. Ahead of the Direct by a few days, there were a lot of leaks. We knew a 2D Zelda was extremely likely. We knew that leakers were saying this Direct was going to be big. So the sentiment about this Direct quickly shifted from, it's the last one on the Switch, it'll likely be something not particularly exciting, to, this is going to be something special. In hindsight, some of these announcements were just things that made sense and were probably obvious. I feel kind of silly, for instance, for not foreseeing Perfect Dark coming to NSO. That just feels really obvious given that the series is finally getting a new game. But, well, when it comes to predicting things like this, it can be really easy to just overlook the obvious answer. And some answers are not so obvious. I really do feel like that final announcement was something that very few people actually thought was gonna happen, but then it did. And that's why you just can't really predict what Nintendo is gonna do next. Let me preface the discussion part of this video by saying that overall, my sentiments about this Direct are very positive. It was a solid A+ Direct for me. I felt that sort of Nintendo Direct charm where you're just eager to see the next thing. And it feels good when you see one of those IPs that you know and love so much take center stage for a bit. I don't think it was my favorite Direct of all time. That spot is still secured by June 2019's Direct. But it made me remember why I love Direct so much in the first place. There's always a sense of magic and hype, and it's just nice. It's just a nice time. There was something for almost everyone in that Direct, I feel. But I did notice that turn-based fans were served a quadruple course or so. I'm not complaining, those games looked really good, but congrats to those turn-based fans. It feels like you guys ate really well, or you will be eating really well. Personally, I am also a turn-based fan, although I will admit I have not been playing many games in that genre lately, just because I don't have time. Usually those are kind of longer games, but I don't know, maybe I'll give some of these a try. They look pretty good. Without much further prelude, I want to go through game by game for the Direct and just give some thoughts on each game as they appeared in the presentation. I do apologize for the hastily edited nature of this video, as I want to try to get it out as soon as possible. My week is very busy, but I'm excited to share some thoughts with you guys about this presentation because it was a good one. First up is Mario and Luigi Brothership. I've always heard really fantastic things about this series, but I've never given it a try myself. I've only ever played one turn-based Mario RPG in my life, and that was the original Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo. But I've always meant to branch out and try things like Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi. Maybe this is the entry that I'll jump into. The style of this game is honestly what is drawing me in the most. These models are just exceptionally well done. They're so expressive. Coupled with this, the environments maintain that cheery Mario vibe, as well as just feeling really interesting to look at. They're engaging, and they don't fall into the easy pit of overly clean, cheery Mario vibes with not much detail. Some early Mario entries have that issue. I'm looking at you, New Super Mario Bros. I really want to praise the enemy design as well. It feels like these bad guys are very unique and have a lot of character just in their design, and I really like that. I feel like I also have to praise the animation, especially that kick from Mario. I'm sure maybe it'll lose its luster the 20th time we see it in game, but it's just really spot on with the sharpness of the animation there. Really good stuff from the devs. Mario and Luigi Brothership, definitely keeping my eye on this one. The next thing that Nintendo showed off was the Nintendo World Championships NES edition. I don't really have much to say about this. It's not super my cup of tea, but the concept is really interesting. It looks like you're speedrunning against ghost data in various games. Really cool idea. I'm sure there is a market for that I'm just not part of. But still, cool idea. Speedrunning stuff, very cool. Next up is Fairy Tail 2. I have never played a Fairy Tail game in my life, but I was a big fan of the anime back in my college years. kind of weird that it's called Fairy Tail 2, despite it covering the Alvarez arc, because that's incredibly late into the series, but pop off, I guess. I don't know really what the game series is covering and what it's not. It looks pretty good. It is Koei Tecmo, so maybe I keep my eye on it, although I haven't done anything or engaged in any Fairy Tail media in probably 5 years. Fantasian Neo Dimension is next. I have not heard much about this game at all. My first impressions were that it was the most Final Fantasy, non-Final Fantasy I've ever seen in my life, which, you know, given the fact that it's Sakaguchi and Uematsu, who are doing the, I believe, directing and composing respectively, that makes that make a lot of sense. I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy. I know this is mostly a Nintendo channel, but I am a big fan of Final Fantasy. Been playing it since I was a wee little hatchling as well. Definitely am intrigued with this game, especially as I learn more about it. It kind of went from, you know, just more kind of Final Fantasy, more traditional Final Fantasy vibes, which is totally fine. Really like those vibes. I really like the older Final Fantasies and Octopath and Bravely Default as well. Just really good games. I learned today, actually, right before I recorded this, that some of the backgrounds of Fantasian are actually dioramas. And that is so cool to me. That like bumps up my intrigue a lot more. I just think dioramas are cool in general. And the fact that they're like incorporated those into the background is just really neat. Really neat stuff. I'm gonna keep my eye on this one. There's some stuff about the combat system that is a bit refreshing. You know, being able to hit people in a row. That's pretty cool. I like that. I like that. I'm gonna keep my eye on this one. I recently learned that despite knowing absolutely no one who played this game or is playing this game, that Nintendo Switch Sports is actually a really big selling game. The 19th best-selling game on the Switch, in fact. Who knew? It's kind of weird. This game came out April 29th, 2022, so that was 2 years ago, and we're just now getting a free update for it? We haven't had an update for this game in 2 years, and we're just randomly getting a free one, so that's pretty cool for the people who are still playing that game. Congrats to you guys. Mio is the next game that they showed off during the Direct, and I gotta say, I am intrigued by this one. I am very intrigued by it. I think I'm gonna definitely keep it in mind in the future. I just played through Ori and the Blind Forest again, and there are bits about this game that kind of remind me of it, particularly in the level design, not the aesthetic, but the design itself, and just some of the movement of the main character. It feels very Ori-like, which is not a bad thing at all. I adore that game, so I'm definitely down for some of this. I had never heard of this game before the Direct. I don't know if this is like a world premiere kind of thing where the game was first being shown off, you know, during the Direct. I'm really intrigued by it though. There's a lot I have in terms of questions, just what's going on in this game. You know, there's a bit of overgrown, kind of ruined stuff in the background, as well as some robotic stuff. Very cool, very like vibey, moody, nice aesthetics. Really nice aesthetics, really nice gameplay from what I've seen. So keeping my eye on this one. Next up was a small update on Disney Illusion Island, which I heard was pretty good, but it didn't super grab my interest when I was looking at the trailers, so I never picked it up, but I heard it was good. I don't really know what this update is, but I do think it's really funny that the guy is named Dash Dolphin. I don't know why, I just think it's a really funny name. No offense to any Dash Dolphins who are watching this video. Next up is the most game of all time, Hello Kitty Island Adventure. This is a game that clearly is not for the faint of heart. Move aside Souls likes. This is the game that all true gamers play. On a more serious note, it does actually look really good. It's kind of scratching that Animal Crossing itch that I've been having lately. It just looks really cute. I don't know, I'm actually contemplating picking this up. It is just kind of cute. It looks like the characters are a little bit more alive. And it looks like you can do some fun little things, I don't know. Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports is next. It automatically gets a 0 out of 10 for me, purely because it's not Space Jam. Okay, I kid. Don't have much to say about this one. It feels a little slow for like a Looney Tunes sports game, but I don't know, maybe that's just my personal opinion about it. I don't know if anyone else has that same opinion. I don't have a whole lot of interest in this, if I'm totally honest, but for those who like Looney Tunes and for those who like sports, here you go. A game for you. Next is Among Us, a update that I'm sure nobody did not see coming, given that they accidentally spoiled it. I don't have much to say about this. Roles have been added, but I think they've been around for a while. I guess this is like new roles or something. I don't really play Among Us, I'm gonna be honest. It came out, you know, it had its heyday. I kind of played during then with some friends, and that was kind of it for me, but congrats to the people who are still playing Among Us. Next up, we have Farmagia. Almost immediately, I recognized Hiro Mishima's artwork. Again, I'm someone who watched Fairy Tail a lot when I was in college. This game is so interesting because it's like, it is a Pikmin-like, but it's a farming sim, but it's kind of a JRPG game, and that's just such an interesting combination. I am curious to see how it works together. I also laughed a lot when the corn became a dog. It's a corn dog. I see what they did there. It's a corn dog. Anyways, intriguing idea. We'll see how it comes together. Although we did not get a Star Fox game, I am forever grateful for the fact that we are getting a port of Donkey Kong Country Returns. The one Donkey Kong Country I have not played yet. I know some people kind of feel like we're just being thrown a bone because it's not a new game entirely, but I think that having this game be more accessible to people right now is a really good thing, and who knows, maybe this is copium, but new game for Switch 2? Maybe they're testing the waters a bit? We'll see. I thought I'd actually have more to say about this, but I think my general sentiment is, yes, this is good. Thank you. Give it to me. Put it in my hand right now, please. I do also want to appreciate the fact that they are adding levels from the 3DS version of the game. So this is not even just like a port of the original. This is like the deluxe version. And they didn't really have to do that. I would not have even expected that from them, but they did. And I think that's incredible. So, yay! Next up, we have Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. They also revealed that they are giving the same HD 2D remake treatment to the first and second games. I have never played Dragon Quest in my life, but the fact that y'all are getting a full trilogy, really cool. Really cool stuff. And I just really think that HD 2D is a neat way to do it. It's a cool art style. And then there was, this one. I don't really believe in gatekeeping games. I don't think that like that's a really polite or nice thing to do. But why are we having a Funko Pop game? Like what is this? Why? Did anybody want this? I don't understand. I just don't get it. Why are we doing this? And then we had a little bitty trailer for Luigi's Mansion 2. Not much to say here, except it looks really good. I believe this was a 3DS game, if I'm not mistaken. I've never really played these. I know that's like a recurring theme in this direct. It was a lot of like, oh, that looks good. I've never played one of these before. But the reason I never played a Luigi's Mansion is because I did try the first one and it scared me when I was a kid, which kind of goes to show how often I engage with scary media. It looks really good though for an HD port of a 3DS game. I'm actually pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed by how they've really polished this one up. Don't have much to say about the new Denpa. I didn't even know this was a franchise that existed. Despite having a 3DS, it looks alright. Not particularly my cup of tea, but it looks alright. Next up we have Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. I do not know anything about this game. They just kind of shadow dropped it, I believe. Don't know anything about it. Has really nice pixel art though. I do want to say some of the alien-ish designs look really interesting. I really like them. They're very unique. Very cool. Darkest Dungeon 2 is up next. I, again, have heard many things about this game, mostly the fact that it is incredibly brutal and difficult. So difficult that I've been scared away from even trying it a little bit. Is it good? Do you guys like this? Is Darkest Dungeon good? Let me know. Let me know. I do like some tactics stuff every now and then. Moving back into familiar territory, at least for me, is the NSO Online Expansion Pack update. We got 4 swords, as well as Link to the Past, that whole bundle added to NSO. I am very excited to try 4 swords. I've never gotten to play it before. Metroid Zero Mission is another one that I'm very excited for, as someone who is starting to dip their toes into the Metroid series. Very excited to give this one a try. Very, very excited. Nintendo is also adding mature 17 plus games to their expansion pack, which was a little surprising, but once I saw the selections, it made a lot of sense. Or at least one of them made a lot of sense. As a big fan of dinosaurs, they are cousins of mine, after all. Turok was very exciting to see. I've always wanted to play Turok, even though I prefer games where the dinosaurs are more friends than things that are trying to eat your face off. But any game is improved with dinosaurs, in my humble opinion. Humble and very professional opinion. Like I mentioned earlier, Perfect Dark being added to NSO just makes all the sense in the world. We're getting a new Perfect Dark game, even though Perfect Dark is no longer owned by Nintendo. It just makes sense for Nintendo to make it accessible. You know, maybe it'll entice people, the new game will entice people to check out the old game on their system instead. Next up we have Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero. Not much to say about this one. It's got the Disgaea art style. I think it's the same company. Not too familiar with that myself, but it looks good, looks cute. I do apologize for not understanding the significance of this next one, not until way after I actually watched the direct. The Capcom versus Marvel, I said that wrong. Marvel versus Capcom collection is actually a pretty big deal. I didn't realize that it involved a game that had never even come to North America. This is kind of like the holy grail, I believe, for Marvel versus Capcom enjoyers, so big congrats to you guys. I have not played a Mario Party since maybe the Wii era, and that was maybe for just like an hour. So I'm not super big into Mario Party, at least not these days, although I did play the first and second one a lot in my childhood on the N64. At first, I was not sure how I felt about them announcing another one. I think this is the third one for the Switch. However, this trailer actually sold me. I think I'm going to get this one on launch, if possible, and if a lot of my other friends are getting it, which a lot of them say that they are, so I foresee this in my future for sure. There's a lot to say about this. The maps look really intriguing. I really like how, for instance, on one of the maps, you guys are in little carts because it is a racetrack map. That's just really cute, really neat little touch. A Galleria for a map is kind of unique, I think. Very, very interesting idea. Never thought I'd see a mall basically for a Mario Party map, but hey, I think it's pretty cool. The biggest draw-in for me personally is the Koopathlon, I hope I said that right, where you can fit up to 20 people and you're just kind of doing some minigame madness. I'm always down for some minigame madness, and this is a nice way of being able to play the game and say you have more than 4 friends and y'all can just kind of enjoy that together instead. Yep, I'll probably be getting that one, if not on launch, then probably around when all my friends do. I feel like Nintendo really came for my wallet this time. Most of us kind of figured a 2D Zelda would happen, but I don't think anybody predicted it would happen like this. The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. I have never particularly cared too much about playing as Zelda. I've always kind of been like, if it happens, that'd be great, I'll definitely get it. If it doesn't happen, I mean, kind of bummer for those who want that, but you know, it is what it is. I was very pleasantly surprised with this trailer. I thought that there would be a Zelda, 2D remake of some kind. My predictions were Oracles, either Ages or Seasons or both, or A Link to the Past. Initially, I did think this was going to be a Link to the Past remake, and I was totally fine with that. Even having just played the game recently, I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to get this too, I guess. It's so funny. I saw so many predictions for a 2D Zelda. Nothing was like this though, except for one person. I forget who it was, but they said something to the effect of, it'd be really cool if we had a 2D Zelda that incorporated something like Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild mechanics. Now, the echo ability in this, I would say, is adjacent. I would not say it is directly one of those abilities, but it's kind of made in the same spirit as those abilities. So, man, that person's gotta be feeling good. I wish I could remember who it was that said that. But yeah, they've gotta be feeling pretty good about that prediction because, man, it's a good idea. I remember it was maybe a month or two ago, there was some concept art shown of Zelda with short hair, and somebody mentioned something that sounded like a leak. There was some sort of like code, that someone was kind of implying that there was a game where you play as Zelda in the works. I remember people just kind of speculating on it, but kind of writing it off. It's so funny how so many leaks just come true these days. It's so interesting. It's like, used to, I mean, obviously take everything with a grain of salt, always when you read it on the internet, but it's so interesting how it feels like you kind of have to pay more and more attention to these rumors, because more often than not these days, they actually are true. This game is definitely my most anticipated Nintendo game by a hot mile, I would say. At least out of the games that are known for right now. I'm shocked that it's coming out so quickly, but I guess they already had the engine. They've probably been cooking this for a while now that I think about it, but man, I'm excited. I'm just really excited. This is gonna be good. I get the feeling that it's gonna be really good. But once again, they have definitely gone for my wallet. Thanks, Nintendo. Wrapping up the final few announcements, Just Dance 2025 is a thing. It's definitely a thing, all right. Lego Horizon, I think that's what it's called. Lego Horizon, Lego, Leggy, Horizon, whatever it's called, is a thing coming to Switch. We already kind of knew this was a thing in general because of the state of play. I have nothing to say about this. I do have Horizon. I've never played it before, but it has Big Robot, which does make my neurons activate a bit. I don't know. Lego games seem pretty fun. They seem pretty charming. I did play the Star Wars one when I was younger, but I don't know. They're not usually my first pick if I'm going to go looking for another game to play. Stray is coming to Switch. I've heard pretty good things about this game. I heard it was a little too short for a lot of people, but I mean, hey, it's a cute kitty cat game. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. Tales of the Shire is basically everything I want my life IRL to be. I don't know if I will get this game. I do love Lord of the Rings so very, very much, but I'm a little burnt out on farming sims. But man, living as a hobbit would just be kind of nice. I feel like you're crazy if you wouldn't want to live as a hobbit. On a more talking about the game subject, I'm not super wowed by these farming sim graphics that have really shown up. It's in this game and it's in a lot of other games. I feel like they're just a little too simplistic. They're a little too simplistic, and it feels like almost every farming sim has those now. Like, I get it, we want to have a nice simple life and all that jazz, but I feel like we could go a little bit harder on the graphics than this. I feel like we could. I'm talking mostly about the graphics of the characters. When I do say that, I feel like if you look at the background of some of these clips of the game, the water and some of the grass actually does look pretty decent, and the food looks good. I don't know, I just want a little bit more with the characters. A little bit more detail with the characters, and I think I would feel a lot more positive about this game. Moving on, Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. Much like the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, it does include a game that is finally getting localized, and again, just always a great thing. Haven't played this series, has always been recommended to me though by a lot of people. Apparently I would really like it. Maybe this time. Maybe this time I'll get it. The 100-Line Last Defense Academy is another game that definitely exists. It is made by the same people who made Danganronpa, and you can tell that immediately upon seeing the characters. I don't know if this is a game that I will be looking too hard at. I don't know. I feel like a lot of those games have a very samey vibe, samey feel, and so I'm kind of over it, if I'm totally honest. I'm kind of over the Danganronpa phase that I had many years ago. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Much like Dragon Quest and all of those games, Romancing the Saga is a saga that I know exists. I've been aware of it for a while. I've been aware of the fact that I'd probably really like it. Never had time to play it. Absolutely never had time to play it. This Revenge of the Seven looks pretty good. I wish I knew more about the series so that I could give better commentary on it, but I can give you the outsider's perspective of looks really good. I love it when there are series where it's like it kind of covers like generations of things happening, like generation after generation. So that's a just really neat idea. Really neat idea. And at last we come to Metroid Prime 4, the game that I was so certain would not show up in this direct. I was so certain about it that even in my predictions video, I have a Samus in the corner crying. But, you know, joke's on me. Absolutely, joke is on me. I want to clear up something really quick because I got a few comments about this. When I thought the trailer for this game was Metroid Prime 2, I meant remastered. Obviously, I know Metroid Prime 2 has already come out. I'm not a Metroid fan yet. I'm kind of a budding Metroid fan. I'm planning on playing Prime 1 soon for the very first time ever, and I've played a little bit of Super Metroid. That's kind of all of the Metroid that I've ever played, really, was Super Metroid, with a little bit of Fusion when I was a lot younger, and I got lost almost immediately and had no idea how to play the video game. As a person who is not really a Metroid fan, but is dipping their toes into the series probably very soon, I am very whelmed by this trailer, if not a little underwhelmed. I know that is an extremely hot take, but please hear me out for a second. This trailer does not tell me much, again, from the perspective of someone looking to get into the series. This is a good chance for Nintendo to make more Metroid fans, and I feel like they kind of missed out on an opportunity with this trailer. I'm not really a Metroid fan, as I stated earlier. I want to be a fan. I want to try out the games. And I feel like this trailer shows off some action, but it doesn't give me a hook. Why should I play this game? What is the premise of this game? Even if it's just one sentence. What is so special about this Metroid's gameplay? If I was not already interested in the series, what about this trailer would make me interested in it? That's what I want to know. And the answer is, I'm not sure anything about this trailer would. This trailer just feels so unremarkable and brief that I can't really get hyped about it, and I'm kind of disappointed by that. And I'm not really looking for a huge gameplay changer per se. I could go off on a huge tangent about how games don't fundamentally have to change their formula per game in order to be a good game. But I do feel like just from this trailer, there's something missing. And maybe that something is not revealed yet and will be revealed in trailer number 2. Metroid games have either sold poorly or very modestly in the past, with Dread being the top-selling Metroid game to date with a little over 3 million sales. This trailer primarily feels like it caters to people who are familiar with the franchise. I want Nintendo to tell me why people unfamiliar with this series should care about this game. The name Metroid Prime 4 does not, at least to me, feel like it's enough to carry this game to success. Maybe too modest to good sales. I could be wrong though. There is a lot of hype around this game, mostly because it has been so terribly delayed. You know, maybe that in itself would be enough to carry it, but I feel like, you know, if there had not been that hype, I feel like Metroid Prime 4, I don't know if it would be as, you know, on as many wish lists. But really, like, Metroid sells very modestly. I know this game is being mega hyped, and you know, that's really good for it, but I also feel like Nintendo needs to not hold back on advertising it, particularly to non-Metroid fans. They need to expand that fan base. And they need to show us why we should care about this game, other than, oh, it's finally here after years of development. But that is just my personal take on it. You know, this is trailer number 1. I'm gonna cut them some slack. I think trailer number 2 will probably be more what I'm looking for. So we'll see what happens in the future, you know? I am looking into getting into the Metroid series. I'll probably be playing either Zero Mission or Super Metroid pretty soon. So who knows, maybe even just playing those and looking back at that trailer will change my opinion on it. I don't know, we'll see. And so at long last, we are at the end. Wow, that was a lot more than I thought it was gonna be. Holy moly, those were a lot of games. That was a lot of games. That was a lot of games. I still do think the Direct was really good. You know, even though that last one I was kind of a little bit on a more negative note, I still do think the Direct was really good. It was definitely a solid A+ Direct for me. It didn't quite cater to me specifically, but that's fine. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad Direct. Personally, I can at least appreciate if a Direct is good or bad, even if it doesn't cater directly to me per se. I can still recognize that this was a really, really good one, even if it wasn't, you know, Splatoon and Star Fox and, you know, all the stuff that I usually like. It was still a really good time, I thought. With all of that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. Make sure you tell me your favorite trailer in the comments if you feel so inclined, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!